Hey guys, Tisha here, and we're back for another Love and Marriage Huntsville review. I don't even know what I just watched. I don't appreciate Marceau sitting there and speaking so negatively about this woman when the things that he's saying shouldn't concern everyone else at that table, number one. And number two, we don't even know if KeKe is or isn't still using drugs. Now, I feel like she may be, based on how she responds towards the end of this episode. But even if she is, certain things are just too much and go beyond a television show. Like this lady does have children, and she does have a husband, and she does have a life outside of this. So I feel like some things are just too low of blows. KeKe has officially messed up. Not just because she threw a drink in her cousin's face, but because she's probably put herself in a position where no one from this group is going to want to film with her. There's only so much filming that she's going to be able to do with Mel and Stormy, because no one else wants anything to do with her. As she's trying to fuss at Tisha more, she's getting kicked out. The whole fight that we saw towards the end of the episode that was continued to this one didn't even amount to anything. It was just a pushing thing, and Amin and KeKe got kicked out. And as they were standing outside, Mel wanted to know, like, what caused it to get to this point? Did she say something to you? Did she do something to you? Why did you throw a drink? And she just says she was so upset that she tossed the drink. That can happen. Some people do black out. Some people do get that upset that they do dumb things like hit somebody or throw a drink. Doesn't excuse any of it. Maurice brings up how when Amin saw what was going on, he should have pulled his wife to the side, because that's what men do. And we know that Amin didn't see the whole thing as it was playing out, that Amin was having his own discussions, and that I'm sure he probably thought that his wife could have handled herself. He then makes a statement saying that he was wrong for trying to get at his brother. And Kimmy says, you don't defend wrong. If someone's wrong, you don't defend them. But we've seen Kimmy defend wrong many times when it's come to the Scott family. Kimmy is not who Kimmy used to be. So I just, as Mel and Stormy are talking to KeKe, you know, Mel's just saying that she wished that she would have handled it differently, and that it didn't get to the point where she tossed a drink. And she agrees that she wished she handled herself a little bit differently, but what's done is done. They then leave. We see Tisha talking to Kimmy, and Kimmy's asking her, like, what happened? What led to this? And she's saying, I didn't say a word to her. I didn't say anything to her. So Kimmy's like, if you didn't say a word to her or anything like that, why is the energy like that? Why is she so upset with you? What happened? Something had to have happened. And Maurice says the problem that she has is she's angry and no one's addressing her lies. He also said that she's jealous of Tisha. Now, there's a lot of things that, not Maurice, Marceau says that. There's a lot of things that Marceau says that I don't always agree with, but I do agree with this, because I feel like KeKe always wanted to be on the show, and Tisha was the one that managed to get picked, and Tisha was the one that had a main role. And a lot of good has happened for Tisha from being on this show. Now, whether her marriage is healthy or not, that's another story, but this show and some of Tisha's life is what she wanted. Tisha lets us know that she's done with KeKe, and in this instance, despite me not liking Tisha, I don't blame her for it. Mel then comes in and she checks on Tisha, and she checks on Marceau. Tisha and Marceau say that they're fine, that they're all good, that KeKe is so good at lying and she's been doing it for years. As they're having this discussion and commotion's gone down, we see Tiffany arrive with Baby Lou, and she makes a comment about how Baby Lou is her plus one, because we already know where, not Baby Lou, how it's Ace. I think his name is Ace. Baby Ace is her plus one, and there's no Lou, because we all know what Lou is doing, which is he's out with his job. The way that Tiffany continues to talk about Lou, if he sees some of this, I do feel like they're going to have additional problems from what they already have, and they should have never had that baby. Babies are a blessing, but they weren't ready. He did it to appease her, and now it's turned into something else. Everybody's sitting down at the table. Jalen pulls up in the Jeep and honks the horn, and KeKe, not KeKe, why do I keep saying KeKe? KeKe is on my brain. And Kimmy is so excited about it that she runs over there and says she knows it's her car. She jumps in. She ends up leaving, takes it for a ride, comes back, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe Maurice will get some loving from his wife tonight, because she did seem genuinely happy. I also want to know if Jalen has been watching this show or seeing what's been going on online, because he was extremely chummy with Maurice, despite how Maurice has treated his mama and the things that he said about his mama. I don't know. We then see another one of Tisha's cousins arrive. I believe her name is Courtney. And she tells her what happened with her and KeKe. I don't care. Don't understand why they're still talking about this, but they're going to talk about this until it gets dark outside. Mel brings up, no matter what's said, that Tisha's going to believe her husband, and she does. Mel asks, why did you and Amin almost start fighting? And he said, because I said something about her being a dope head. They're trying to say like that wasn't warranted, that he shouldn't say certain things just because he's mad. And then he's trying to say that KeKe is a drug user. He said being mad alone doesn't make you throw drinks, but rocks do. His cousin says, you're sitting there saying all this stuff about the drugs, but KeKe's always been extra. You should be used to her being extra. I feel like he needs to stop with the drug jokes. Even if she's currently on them, it's not right to do that at all. Like, we all know somebody. Well, I don't want to say we all know, because I don't know what you all know. But I know people in my family that have struggled with drug abuse. And it's not anything to make light of. No matter how upset you are and the things that you've done, it's not right to do it. I had a family member that was mission in action for 15 years, and she called my grandmother every Mother's Day, and we did not know it was her. For 15 years, she was gone. And one day, my grandmother just said her name and was like, if it's you, just speak, baby. And it was her. And we found out that she had been doing that for a good, 8 years of her being clean, but she just couldn't get up the courage to speak. It's a lot that comes with it. So for him to sit there and joke about it, it was making me get upset. And I don't have anything to do with this situation as far as KeKe's concerned, but I didn't feel like it was right. He admits to wanting to make Amin mad. That's why he made a comment about KeKe still being on drugs. Stormy then says, so is that why at the meeting you kept referring to Courtney by my last name instead of his own? And he was like, well, to be fair, you did call me a B. So, yeah. I agree that Stormy should not have called him a B. But I also feel like if he had a problem with it, he should have addressed it right then and there while her husband was present. They're talking about how Stormy shouldn't call men a B, and how it would be a problem if she called B, they called her a B. And I'm listening and I'm thinking to myself, okay, why didn't Tisha check her for calling him a B? And even, the other men jumped in on it. Of course, Maurice jumped in on it too. And Martell brings up that he doesn't feel that it's right for a woman to sit there while another woman is calling their husband names, especially a B. Of course, no one addresses that. Tisha then says, do you feel like you owe Marceau an apology for that? And Stormy shakes her head no. Kimmy then asks cousin Courtney, who is the cousin of Tisha, if she feels like KeKe still needs help, because she noticed when she embraced KeKe that she was trembling a little bit. And Kimmy was like, I don't know if it was because she was just nervous about being everyone, or if it was for another reason, excuse me. As her cousin is responding and saying, yes, I do feel like that there are some other things that she needs help for, Marceau continues to be insensitive, and he cracks jokes about drugs, like different drug jokes, and she asks him to please stop. Courtney says, like, certain things shouldn't be addressed in the public eye, and that you should be able to just pull her to the side. And then Kimmy says, well, she didn't pull her to the side when she threw a drink at her. I didn't like that Kimmy said that, because they don't even know whether this lady is currently using drugs or not. I know that she does methadone. I know that methadone is a form of a drug. But to compare the drugs and the drink thing, I think it's a bit much. Everybody who throws a drink isn't on drugs. Maurice decides to further embarrass KeKe by saying, everybody at this table, do me a favor and raise your hands if you've picked her up off the street at 2 a.m. or if you've had a bunch of talks with her about her drug uses for hours at the time, or if you were there for her when her mother wasn't, or when her cousins weren't, or when her husband wasn't. He goes on this entire rant about drugs, and Stormy said in her confessional that it's okay to feel how you feel and to be hurt and to be upset, but you shouldn't say certain things and make certain jokes. We then find out that Stormy had a best friend that she was trying to help get clean. Marceau does like Marceau does and cracks jokes and asks questions about it, and she's triggered by it, and she cries, and she's walking off crying. He does go to her and apologize for that moment, and I do believe that he meant it. They talked so long about this girl and the drug thing and throwing her under the bus. I don't even know what's what at this point. They ended still talking about the girl. We then see Chris, Martell, and Courtney meet up at the gym. They actually work out. After their workout is done, they talk about the barbecue, and Courtney says he doesn't like the energy that Marceau brings, and that he doesn't like some of the things that he does in regards to his wife, like poking at her and picking at her, and he didn't like him calling him his wife's last name because he knows his last name. They say, like, do you think you could talk to him? He's like, I don't mind talking to him, but I kind of feel like it's pointless because he's still going to keep doing what he does. But if we do talk, I don't want it to be at black. I need it to be on neutral ground. Chris says, while we're talking about things, when you going to be out? He says he'll be out in 20 days. He says he got a place. They ask if he got a place in the A. Talking about the chateau, even though, he's done everything else but be at the chateau. He says he'll definitely be out in 20 days. I don't see how Chris could be okay with being around this man who's costing him money. Maybe he's okay with it because he's on the show. That's the end of that scene. Amin and KeKe are at their storage unit that looks a hot mess. Like, it looks like a bunch of junk. But they're there because they're moving. They're changing houses, changing districts, because they want their oldest son to have more playing time in the sport that he's in. Excuse me, sorry y'all. KeKe says Amin doesn't think about how this move will affect the family and the other two kids because they're going to have to be uprooted from a school that they've been in since kindergarten. All he's thinking about is that oldest son and how this whole thing is going to benefit him. While they're putting stuff in the car, Mel calls. She asks if she can come through. She meets up with them. And she's there to talk to KeKe about the barbecue and later a drug test. Amin says that he respects Maurice, but he does not care for his brother. He says that he feels like his brother does things and says things that are disrespectful all the time. Mel says, Tisha said that she felt bad because she really, really likes you. And the both of them look at each other like Tisha don't like him. KeKe goes as far as saying that she never liked him. Amin says that Tisha doesn't like him, and that's another example of her being phony if she says she does. They talk about how Mel tries to say, like, she, even though her and Tisha aren't friends like that, she still checked in on Tisha to see if Tisha was okay. And then she said how you can see how he kind of stepped in, how Marceau stepped in when y'all were getting to it, trying to defend his wife. And he says, I don't have a problem with him stepping in. What I had a problem with was when he decided to say that she needed a drug test. That's when I needed to jump in. KeKe is saying that the reason why she threw her drink had nothing to do with drugs, that it was anger, that she has anger problems. And Mel's like, are you getting any help for it? He says, yeah, I'm in therapy. Well, I just started therapy, so we haven't even got to that yet. If she's truly in therapy, it will come. She does need work. Mel says, let's shut them down and let's take a drug test. And that's how they end it, with it being continued there. And then we see in the preview next week that she's basically going to say, like, I'll take the drug test if he takes a lie detector test. KeKe, it makes it look like you're doing something. Y'all, this episode was whack to me. It was a waste of time. I'm sorry that I'm not enthusiastic about it, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to be reviewing the show. I don't even think y'all really like the reviews anyways, because the numbers are a little low. But I guess I'll at least finish out the season. Y'all let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Until next time.